Obtaining the Kappa container is about to become easier than it has ever been in Escape from Tarkov. And this is not some minor reduction to one or two annoying tasks. With the launch of Season 1 at the end of July, BSG is removing the overwhelming majority of quests from the requirements used to unlock the Collector task. That means that setup is no longer required, the guide is no longer required, Psycho Sniper, Insomnia, Crisis, Test Drive, none of these are going to be required anymore. Instead, the new Kappa path appears to revolve around reaching level 40, maxing out the 7 main traders, reaching 3 reputation with fence, and completing only 4 specifically named tasks. This is going to completely change how players approach progression and make Kappa obtainable for tens of thousands of players who never would have even attempted it before. In this video, we're going to cover everything you need to know about the upcoming changes as well as discuss the implications of it. Let's get into it. Hey guys, I'm Ghost and welcome back to the channel. BSG has just made a huge announcement. They revealed the upcoming changes to the Kappa container requirements for Season 1, which is currently planned to come at the end of July. According to the announcement, you will need to reach Loyalty Level 4 with Therapist, Prapor, Peacekeeper, Mechanic, Jaeger, Skier, and Ragman. Note that they are excluding Ref for this because the majority of the player base only plays the main game, and to level up Ref completely, you need to play Arena, which is an entirely different game. You will also need to reach level 3 reputation with fence and have a character level of at least 40 to get the collector task. Ultimately, your player level will need to be at least level 42 because in order to get loyalty level 4 with Ragman, you need to be level 42. Now, by the time you reach level 40 and have maxed the traders, you should have a pretty high fence rep. Just make sure you're doing any tasks that he offers and take those car extracts whenever you can. On top of those progression requirements, only 4 specific tasks will now be listed. Chemical Part 4, a Shooter Born in Heaven, Tarkov Shooter Part 4, and So It Good Part 4. That is it. Those 4 quests appear to be the only individually named tasks that will give you access to the collector. And when you compare that with the current system, where Kappa is tied to hundreds of required quests spread across nearly every major trader storyline, this is an absolutely massive reduction. The current collector requirements have been determined by BSG on a quest-by-quest basis and presently force players through most of the game's standard task catalog. Now, if you're very new to Tarkov, this does not mean you can just create a new account, complete these 4 tasks, and immediately receive the Kappa. These are the requirements for unlocking the Collector task, not necessarily a replacement for the objectives inside Collector itself. Unless BSG announces additional changes, you should still expect to collect and hand over the required Found and Raid streamer items after Collector becomes available to you. You will also need to complete the prerequisite quests that lead to Chemical Part 4, Tarkov Shooter Part 4, and So It Good Part 4. You will also need enough trader reputation and money spent to reach Loyalty Level 4 with all 7 listed traders as well. So you will absolutely still be questing. The critical difference is that you will be able to choose which quests you complete for trader rep instead of being forced to finish almost every specific task in the game. That freedom is what makes this change so significant, guys. I personally dislike doing any task that tells me what gear I need to wear, what weapon I need to use, and what map I need to go on. I want to be running around in my best gear, using my favorite weapons, and playing on my favorite maps. I personally dislike using snipers or shotguns, they just don't fit my playstyle. And actually, speaking of shotguns, let's begin with the quest that will probably make the largest number of players celebrate. Setup is no longer required for Kappa. Setup currently requires you to limit 8 PMCs on customs while wearing a Ushanka and an approved vest. In addition to that, it limits you to using a shotgun. Now, this is not necessarily the most mechanically difficult quest in the game, but it does force players into an extremely restrictive loadout on customs, which is a very mid to long range PvP heavy map. Under the announced requirements, setup is not going to be listed anymore. Now, you could still complete it for experience. Maybe you want some skier rep or weapon unlocks and other rewards if you enjoy that sort of thing. But guys, you no longer need to do all these tasks that you don't like. Another major removal is the guide. The guide currently requires you to survive and extract from 10 different locations without dying between any of them. If you've ever tried this or if you've ever played Tarkov ever in your life, you know that one bad spawn, one cheater, one silent player sitting near an extractor in a corner, one unfortunate labs raid will send you all the way back to the beginning. Even the most experienced players can lose hours of progress from a single death. Plus, with load times in this game alone, this task usually takes a couple of hours to complete. The guide is one of Tarkov's most most recognizable endgame challenges, but it is also one of the largest points of frustration for players that are approaching Kappa. You can still complete it for rewards and the satisfaction of surviving the full run, but your Kappa progression will no longer be held hostage by it. Another major removal is Psycho Sniper. The current version requires you to reach level 10 in the bolt action rifle skill and eliminate 5 PMCs with a bolt action rifle without dying. You can finish all 5 kills and still fail this objective if you die before successfully turning in the task. This type of quest is exactly the kind of quest that can be an interesting optional challenge but becomes extremely frustrating when it stands between you and Kappa. Now you still have to complete a Shooter Born in Heaven and Tarkov Shooter Part 4, so bolt action rifles have not totally been removed, but those aren't nearly as bad as some of these other ones. There are a couple other quests that are no longer required, such as Insomnia. Insomnia currently asks for 25 PMC eliminations between 9 PM and 6 AM with factory and labs excluded. This always meant forcing yourself into night raids over and over and over again, regardless of whether you actually enjoy playing Tarkov at night. And once again, you may still choose to do this for the experience, trader rep, or rewards, but it's become optional rather than mandatory for the Kappa grind. Now, like I said earlier, some of the most annoying quests for me are quests that tell you what weapon to use, what gear to wear, and what map you need to play. So you know I was rejoicing when the test drives were removed from the Kappa journey. For example, test drive part 1 tells you to eliminate 10 PMCs using an SR25 with a specific suppressor and a scope. This type of quest is just another example of Tarkov forcing players away from the equipment they want to use and into a specific and expensive loadout. So with these new incoming changes to the Kappa journey, how then should we approach it, whether you're a new player or you just prestiged or you're going to be doing the seasons? I honestly think that this new system is going to require players new and old to completely rethink the most efficient route. Instead of just opening a checklist and blindly completing every task marked as required, your primary objectives are just to reach level 40, build 3 reputation with Fence, reach loyalty level 4 with the 7 listed traders, and complete those necessary tasks. While you're doing all that, just save every collector item you find along the way. By the time you reach level 42, you should have most of them anyway. And yes, you will still need to complete a healthy number of quests to earn experience and trader rep, but you will have far more control over which ones you choose. If a quest requires you to play a playstyle that you hate, or maybe it forces you onto a map you really don't enjoy, or asks you to spend hours waiting for players in some specific location where nobody ever goes, you may finally be able to skip it and earn the required reputation somewhere else. Now, I personally have over 4,700 hours in Tarkov and have been playing for over 7 years, so I have my own opinions about this. I've gotten Kappa like 5 or 6 times, and there will obviously be an argument made from certain people that this is now going to make obtaining Kappa too easy. Now, I do think it's important we respect those opinions because if you guys didn't know, Kappa has traditionally represented the completion of almost the entire game. If you received the Kappa container, it meant that you survived almost every major quest line, completed the most difficult PvP challenges, and endured some of Tarkov's worst and hardest tasks. Now, I do think that the prestige of obtaining the Kappa container will undoubtedly be reduced when so many of the worst tasks have been removed. However, Tarkov is also moving into a seasonal structure, and we actually have endgame content now, like the storyline and terminal, etc. Expecting players at this point to repeat hundreds of tightly prescribed quests every single season is completely different from asking them to complete that grind once during a traditional wipe with no other endgame content in sight. The new system still requires level 40, max trader loyalty, substantial fence rep, and several central quest chains and the collector item hunt. Those are going to still be a major time investment. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of raids to get there. I think the important thing to note here is that BSG is not removing the progression itself. They are removing the requirement to complete every miserable, restrictive, or luck-dependent side task before you're allowed to pursue the game's most famous container. Personally, I think this makes Kappa far more realistic for regular players without simply handing it out for free. And once again, we have had over 7 years of the traditional Kappa container at this point. In the past, getting Kappa is really not that enjoyable, so that by the time I get it, I'm so burnt out on Tarkov that I don't really want to play anymore and I need a break, even though I just obtained the most prestigious item. I think that with this change, players will actually be able to get Kappa so much sooner, and then they'll actually be able to use it, take advantage of it, and enjoy the increased secure container size. In my opinion, this is a great change and it's very welcome. Once again, these changes are currently scheduled to arrive with Season 1 at the end of July 2026. And remember, it's BSG, so the exact requirements could still be adjusted before the update goes live or even afterwards. But based on what BSG has revealed, the Kappa grind is about to become dramatically shorter and much more flexible. And that's it, guys. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Tarkov content. Let me know in the comments down below which required Kappa quests you are happy to finally be able to skip. Also, let me know if you guys have ever gotten Kappa or will you finally go for Kappa now that these changes are going to be implemented? Also guys, I'd like to take a moment just to shout out Craned. You can follow him on X at Tarkov Tips. Craned is an absolute goat when it comes to infographics, and if you guys are looking to stay up to date constantly with all the little changes that come up with Tarkov, make sure you go and give him a follow. And thanks again, Craned, for the graphic. And as always guys, thanks for watching. I'm Ghost, and I'll see you in the next raid.